Gaetano Stimoli was born in Sicily in 1862. She and her husband lived in Aderno, in the province of Catania, and their marriage, said to be a happy one, was blessed with young children. Sadly, as was not uncommon in the 19th century, her children were killed by an illness. To Gaetano, however, this was not simply a tragic disease. This was witchcraft. Her babies had been murdered by a powerful enchantment. 4 of her children in all had died, and a 5th lay sick. A witch had informed her that this was what had happened, for a price. Gaetano herself had knowledge of the occult arts. Her home, when searched later, was found to contain chemicals and herbs associated with traditional medicine and ritual, including phosphorus. Despite the help she sought from the witch, her 5th child died. Gaetano demanded he repaid the money she had handed over for him to break the spell on her son. He informed her that if the child had died, it was because someone else was using more powerful magic. All she could do was avenge herself upon that person. Poison was the surest and safest way, she was told. Sicily has a rich heritage of poisoning, being the home of Giulia Tofana, whose patent husband remover, Aqua Tofana, which she sold to dissatisfied wives in the 17th century, is thought to have been used in up to 600 murders between 1633 and 1651, and the home also of Giovanna Bonanno, the old vinegar lady, who conducted a similar business venture until her execution by hanging at the age of 76 in 1789. The loss of her children inculcated in Gaetano a jealous hatred of other women who had children. Out of spiteful rage she conceived a plan to gain revenge for her loss. All the children of Aderno would die, not just those of the guilty ones who had cursed her, but those who had children and were happy because of it. Gaetano would lure young children away to secluded places with the promises of lollies and toys. Her victims were aged between 4 and 6. She would urge them to drink some wine she had previously prepared. The wine was mixed with a poison made from phosphorus and the sap from a euphorbia known as tree spurge, or caramuni. The sap of euphorbias is considered mildly toxic and has been used for centuries to treat warts and skin cancers due to its antifungal and antibacterial properties. But the berries are known to be highly toxic, and just one could kill a child if ingested. She also smeared this deadly concoction onto the lollies. Some of the children made their way home before the poison took effect. The symptoms were an agonizing stomach pain and vomiting, followed by loss of speech and sudden death. Phosphorus causes not only gastrointestinal effects, but also severe damage to kidneys, liver, the cardiovascular system, and central nervous system. For a while, doctors were baffled by the sudden epidemic of such deaths. At least 10 of the children died while still in the company of the poisoner. They were buried in lonely spots, which caused authorities to suspect that Gaetano had assistance in her crimes. Not only her husband, but at least 7 others were arrested on suspicion of some involvement. Her method of operation was finally exposed when an intended victim, a young boy, proved too strong for the dose of poison he had received. Like the other children, he was seized with prodigious vomiting, but medical help was able to pull him through. Once he had recovered, he told the story of how Gaetano had beguiled him away with kind words and promises of treats. After he had eaten some lollies, he was given the deadly drink to wash them down. When she was finally arrested on the 11th of October, 1895, following the statement made by the boy, Gaetano Stimoli was responsible for the killing of 23 young children. One of the last victims to die was her own nephew, her sister's only child. As the police attempted to take her into custody, she grabbed a broken bottle and attempted to kill herself by stabbing herself in the stomach repeatedly. Her attempt made only superficial injuries, and she was taken to the local jail along with her husband. While there, a crowd of outraged locals attempted to wrench her from the custody of the police and lynch her, but were thwarted. She was sent to prison in Catania for her own safety. There she again attempted suicide, managing to obtain a piece of broken window glass, which she used in an attempt to cut open her arteries. At first, Gaetano denied the accusations against her, but soon realised that lying was futile, and confessed all with little pretence of remorse. As for her fate, despite the story of her arrest being printed in newspapers around the world, and even in the medical journal The Lancet, there appear to be no reports at all of a trial and sentence. Maybe she managed to kill herself in prison, or was killed by someone else. Maybe she was considered insane and sent off to an asylum. Whatever was her earthly fate, her story, and those of the 23 children she cold-bloodedly condemned to a painful death, have long since been forgotten in the dark corners of history.